So here we are this evening, today, 2 days before the start of the four trying to get into that one spot on either side. And we have Spectrum Sports, we have Mr. Carl, he's lead and in the middle, directing traffic, and we're all going to say a lot and hear a lot from him. We have Billy to his right, a transplant but family member. We've accepted him to be a Texan even though he's a New Jersey boy.
Go Rutgers.
Yeah. Then we have the pilot on the corner, and he for some reason put his helmet on and masked because he said he's going to be
Go COVID.
Yeah, he said he was going to be rocketing through every single one of the upsets and have it on point. That's why he's the pilot, and he masked up. And then we got Joey Ramone on the other side, on the other benchmark. So who is the real guy next to you, Mr. Carl, Spectrum Sports?
This is Daniel, this is Billy, and this is Eric, and we're going to talk about college hoops.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Why don't you lead it off, Mr. Carl? Who is your number one ranked team that you think is the team of the year? Who's the team of the year that's going to win it all?
I think it is going to be Michigan. My personal pick to win the NCAA tournament is the Michigan Wolverines.
So you're going to lead it off. That's your lead pick with Michigan Wolverines. Number one. They're going to win the whole thing.
Yes, they are going to win the whole thing.
Against who?
The University of Arkansas, the Razorbacks.
Ooh, wow, that's a lot of suspense. We're going to build up to that master theme of how you got from Arkansas and Michigan.
Yes, it is a very ballsy pick, but I like it.
All right. So we're going to go on, and Billy's going to do the other end of the spectrum, and we're going to lead off on who of the four that you have lined out on each side of those get into that spot. Who are those 1 and 2?
Well, I have Michigan State over UCLA.
Perfect.
I have.
I thought that's the pilots.
Well, I can't read this. I have Michigan State over UCLA. I have Wichita State over Drake. I have. I got Appalachian State, and I got Mount St. Mary's. I got Michigan State, and I got Drake.
Those are the 4 spots that are coming.
That I think.
Okay.
For the play-in game.
All right. So Billy's story is building from the ground up, and Spectrum Sports, Mr. Carl, is building from the top down. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And how do we get there? We get there on the edges. So go for it, pilot. Give us your the Sweet 16 teams that you have in that 16 round, coming from east to west and north to south.
East to west. So I got Alabama facing Michigan State, and then up from that I got Colorado, and then I have St. Bonaventure upsetting Michigan in that East bracket, and then going up to the west I got VCU getting through against Kansas, and then we got at the top part of that west bracket Creighton versus Gonzaga. Now going up to the south, we're getting to Wisconsin versus Purdue, Wisconsin upsetting Baylor, and then we're getting Arkansas versus Florida in an SEC matchup. And then down to the Midwest, we're getting Sister Jean's boys, Loyola Chicago versus Oklahoma State. And then we're going to get San Diego State and Houston to round out the Midwest bracket.
Whose house?
Whose house? So now we've gone from the top to the bottom to right in the middle. So there's a lot of storyline in between all those games, and Daniel's going to lead us through something. How do we get from 64 to 32? Give us the highlights.
Oh man!
Out of each side.
I've got
east, west, north, south.
I mean, I've got Virginia beating, Gonzaga, and I think, and then Kansas beating VCU. I got Michigan, Florida State. I actually think UConn's going to pull an upset and end up, getting, beating out of them by Michigan. Michigan's a good team. I think that, you've also got to look at this. The Texas teams are the best right now. The Texas teams are unbelievable. I think Baylor and Tech are going to fight it out. And Tech's going to be an upset getting in there. But I feel like Baylor can beat Tech, and Baylor's going to end up playing the Houston Cougars in the Final Four. And it's going to be Michigan versus Houston. It's going to be a grudge match from the Elite Eight.
Wow.
Years ago.
Wow. That's a storyline. So now we got top, we got bottom, we got right in the middle, and then we got the drama sticking it all between. So Carl, pick it up from there. Who do you have, and what are the matchups in that Final Four? Who now we're getting down to the teams and the people. Who are the matchups? Give me some shooter matchups.
My picks are going to be Creighton versus Michigan and Arkansas versus West Virginia.
Well, how in the world did Creighton get there? Give us that storyline. How did Creighton get there?
Well, Creighton annihilated UCSB and Virginia, and then after a shocking upset of Gonzaga by the Missouri Tigers, Creighton will take care of them fairly reasonably, and then in a dramatic overtime game against Kansas, Creighton goes to the Final Four.
That's not even a story, it's a drama. That is amazing how that worked out, Carl.
And then Michigan just crushes them because Creighton isn't ready.
Well, I would say not.
Okay.
But you'll be the most popular man in Creighton, Indiana, if your picks come to fruition.
So give us one of your storylines, Billy, of how who works their way out of the Gonzaga bracket.
Well, it's not so much, I'm going to go the other way, not who's going to work their way out of the Gonzaga bracket. I'm going to say who's going to work their way out of the Michigan bracket, and it's going to be Michigan's arch rival, Michigan State. If you followed Michigan State this year, they were highly ranked early. They had a bunch of COVID setbacks, and they've come back super strong at the end of the year, beating the likes of Ohio State, I believe Ohio State, Illinois, and Michigan. So they're coming into the tournament hot with a great coach, Tom Izzo, and they're also coming in as one of the first four in. They're coming in on the 11 line, and I believe it's going to be a grudge match, the Battle of Michigan, for Michigan and Michigan State to get into the Final Four, and that should be a lot of juice for this NCAA tournament.
Yeah. So pilot, how do you? What are some of the highlights of how you get your brackets built?
I just went with the Ken Pomeroy rankings, and I picked the defensive teams to kind of get through my bracket. So that's kind of how I got through Bama. And I got Loyola Chicago going to the Final Four because they're a highly defensive rated team. I think Alabama's playing good basketball right now. I like Gonzaga getting through to the Final Four, but their history, I like Bama beating them, but I got Roll Tide all the way through the national championship, and I like Arkansas to go up from the South. So, but I like Houston getting into the Elite Eight, but I'm not so sure. They had a rocky road. Now they just won the American Athletic Conference, but I kind of got an upset pick with Loyola Chicago beating them. So
I don't see it. Wow.
it could happen.
Okay.
It's basketball.
Sister Jean is back.
Sister Jean.
Wow. So, Carl, where would you take it from all those different storylines that you've heard that you have something in your bracket set that you'd like to talk about?
Oh, I'm going to talk about my Cinderella team. Let's talk about our most likely Cinderella teams now. Let's talk about our most likely Cinderella teams. My most likely Cinderella team is Winthrop. Because Villanova, who I would have picked if they were at full strength, I would have picked Villanova to win it all because every 2 to 3 years you can never count Villanova out. So if they were at full strength, I would have picked them to win the whole thing. But because they're not at full strength, I think Winthrop's going to take them down. And then they're going to take down the alma mater of one of my closest male friends, Zach Prohaska, University of North Texas. They're going to take them down, and then they're going to take out North Carolina after North Carolina beat Baylor on a last-second shot. Winthrop's going to take out North Carolina, and then Winthrop's going to get their asses kicked by Arkansas in the Elite Eight.
Wow, that has a lot of drama between that storyline, Carl. That's a Cinderella story if I've ever heard one. So Daniel, let's hear what one of your Cinderella stories are that you might have tucked away somewhere.
You know, Grand Canyon didn't lose a whole hell of a lot of games this year, and yeah, they might be located in an office building off of Interstate 10 in Phoenix, Arizona, nowhere even close to the Grand Canyon. But I feel like, you know, they gave it a really good push for their first time playing D1 ball, and you know, I think that they may have a possibility of you know, taking out VCU and you know, playing Kansas, but I think that's where the road ends with them.
I don't even know if Kansas gets there. Because East Washington State, I think, might take Kansas.
They
So-
could, but
so then that's
Kansas plays good ball. They got a good coach. So
That's not what my money ball tells me.
Yeah, they've been beat up. So, what is that Moneyball, the pilot?
Shit, I got Kansas going into the Elite Eight, losing to Gonzaga. So, Gonzaga losing to Bama. But I have St. Bonaventure going into the Elite Eight as a Cinderella. And then in the Final Four, I got Sister James boys, we'll go with that. And them into the Final Four, but I got an all SEC matchup, Bama, Arkansas.
Wow,
Bama.
wow.
That's where my money ball led me.
So how do you wrap that up, Billy?
Well, I'm going to wrap it up real quick with, I don't necessarily say that you can call Michigan State a Cinderella, although they're coming from the 11 line. We talked about that earlier, but a Cinderella that I have going to the Sweet 16 is going to be University of California at Santa Barbara. Don't count those surfers out. I have them getting past University of Virginia and eventually getting bounced by the undefeated champion of the NCAA 2021 tournament with tons of pressure on them. They're going to run the entire table, and they are finally going to win their first national championship. The Gonzaga Zags. I believe they're the Bulldogs. The Zags of Gonzaga are going to take it home. Mark Few and the boys in the greater Northwest.
Mental note, Bulldogs is one of the most overused mascot names in all of sports.
Well, thank you for stat there.
what about Tigers?
Yes, Tigers too.
So, Mr. Carl, that wraps it up for our 2021 Final Four. So, what's your closing statement that you want to tell the fans out there?
Thank you all for meeting some of me and my friends, and who knows, we might do one of these again come time for the Major League Baseball or National Football League playoffs, so be on the lookout.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Carl. Thank you, Spectrum Sports, everybody, and all goodness and heart. We're there to support the NCAA basketball tournament.